Right, as classified hearings are being held on Capitol Hill, we look back at Q's latest post to see what we can pull out from what may be discussed in those hearings. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, every one of these episodes I start by saying thank you to each and every one of my subscribers. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so thank you so much to each and every one of you. And if you have not hit that subscribe button, now would be a great time. Come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notification. It's an easy way to help out this channel. It's free to you, and it helps me out big time. So please come here and click that subscribe button. But let's just jump into what we're going to talk about today. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, these are the latest Q posts. And if you guys want a better explanation on what these are going over in more detail, I certainly would encourage you to come back here and catch up to where we are at. Watch the last few videos, especially this one if you want to get caught up to this video. But keep going back. And you can continue to gain more information by reviewing all of those. Now, what we're going to talk about today has a lot to do with the news. And as Q mentioned all the way down here, which was not too long ago, when he accidentally or purposefully exposed his own trip code, which we'll have to see what time will tell what that is. It seems as now that was on purpose. That he says for us to watch the news. And a lot of people speculated that the 23 was referring to the February 23rd, as was yesterday. Now, a lot of things have been happening in the news lately that would point to a lot of things that we've been discussing here on this board in great detail. So it's an interesting thing to go back and re-review what Q has posted and then juxtapose it against what is going on in the news and give you all a better idea of how this is all connected and how it's going to continue to connect as we keep moving into what is going on here. But it's saying I'd watched the news that day. And Q's responding to the person who pointed out the dash 20 minus 23. And a lot of people pointed out to me when I said that the dash minus 23 is the dash is those mean T in Morse code. Somebody pointed out, I believe, it's one long dash that means T in Morse code, and that the minus here is minus 23. And I still believe that 23 days is it could mean 23 days. I'm just saying, I still believe it could mean 23 days, which would be June 11th from the time this was posted, right? But another big thing we're going to talk about is the biggest story in the news, and that is what's going on in North Korea. But this all is just happening, and it seems like we're involved in a very, very controversial debate as to what's going on with North Korea. I mean, it's not controversial if you follow the news enough to understand that there is an art to this, the tactics that are being taken. But for those of you who don't, then you would be kind of lost, and you know, a lot of people just don't follow that closely, so the news is able to distort the truth and to convince them that somehow that Trump is failing in his negotiation by walking away from this meeting. And what am I talking about here? Well, first you would have to look at this, which is the person pointing out here, whoever ANON made this graphic did a good job, but they're pointing out here these two CNN headlines, and it's saying disinformation necessary, and it says White House cancels summit with North Korea, and it says North Korea blows up tunnels at Pyongyang nuclear test site. I have a very, very sneaking suspicion, first of all, that some of these institutions or installments here in North Korea were already destroyed. But let's just say that this is a true story. Was this a direct retaliation? So, I mean, imagine this is my, the disinformation that you're going to see out there. But what if this was the real case behind the scenes? Let's say that the base was there, and in response to Kim's basically going and talking to China. So I think, Here, let me explain really quickly my opinion on what's going on with Kim Jong-un getting away from the table, because the actual story that's out about this is talking about how President Trump has canceled the North Korea summit, right? Now, what was the insider baseball and all that is basically that people have speculated that China had gone back to the table with Kim Jong Un after Mike Pompeo's visit, and whatever happened between China and North Korea has actually affected the relationship now between China or North Korea and the United States in regard to this upcoming summit. So, what could have happened? And here's my speculative thought for this particular scenario as I see it. You have Donald Trump and the Americans trying to give North Korea an option to join the American faction, global faction, if you will, to get certain protections in trade and to be able to work with American dollars and trade in American dollars and basically join the petrodollar complex. And there's a lot of benefits that can be offered through that. And I think that Kim Jong Un was probably excited at that prospect, but they could be doing a couple different things here. Imagine if China came to them and said, look, we're the second largest economy in the world, and we can do everything that the U.S. is promising you, and you'll continue to be our buffer state between American aggression and the South China Sea and all the territorial disputes. They have to have a distraction because China, I think, realizes right now that if North Korea were to establish this peace deal with the United States, that once they stop being the basically bad actor, the focus of attention for all of our sanctions and threats and rhetoric and basically our whole disinformation campaign against the North Korean regime. What do you think is going to happen next when there's no one left in the Asian Pacific to be the bad guy? Well, China realizes, I think, that they'll become that bad guy. Not that they haven't already been getting so much flack from Trump and others in our government regarding their trade policies, the unfairly imbalanced trade deficits, all of the things that are likely to be important to be highlighted between us and China, that there's these stark differences in how we're treated as countries globally. China's economy is still considered a developing economy, which actually gets them many different benefits and many exemptions from certain global laws because of their status as a developing economy, as although they are the second largest economy in the world. But they're underdeveloped in a lot of other, in many certain other aspects. If you look at their society, they still have huge swaths of unemployed, homeless, people who are living so far below the poverty line that it's incredible. A majority of their population, I believe. So what they realize is that they need to get North Korea to sign on to be basically come more of a communist, even though they are already communist in nature, but they are a dictatorship basically. They want them to say, okay, well, you sign on for the Chinese model instead of the American model because you don't want democracy in your country, Kim, and you don't want capitalism in your country unless it's regulated capitalism, not free capitalism. So the capitalism that they're trying to instill in it, or they're offering to Kim Jong Un, and as a part of the package, because I think that's one of the bigger selling points, is that the economically starved nation of North Korea is just seeking basically anyone who's willing to throw a life raft to them economically, because that's really where they're being hit the hardest, especially with American sanctions that have been backed by the international community. So this is what's going on with North Korea. And so that's my opinion on why and how China came to North Korea behind the scenes and basically tried or is trying to make them a better offer and telling them to basically walk away from the American deal and walk over to them. Now, the disinformation part of this is interesting because if you think about it, what would this be if it were being the 3D chess that this game could be? There's a nuclear site that's been blown up, right? And they said now the North Koreans are saying we did it, like as in the North Koreans did this. Okay, was that a show of good faith? Or was that facility already destroyed? Or was that facility destroyed in response to Kim Jong Un's comments about the vice president, and then him basically deciding to walk away from this deal for temporarily? These are all good questions. I'm not sure which one is the truth, but I can tell you that it certainly would be one of those. And in my opinion, the most likely of them is that this was a response or it was already done. And that North Korea is just trying to save face by saying that they did it. And that's a part of what the disinformation is. And the fact that it's all coming through CNN, I don't know. We look back at what Q told us to look for. And Q says here, linking again to this Turley Sessions federal, the article from Breitbart talking about how the federal prosecutor from Utah, who has now been named U.S. Attorney John Huber, and has been tasked by Jeff Sessions as investigating things like the Clinton email probe and other things. But this was what Q was saying here. The flood is coming, future-proofs past CNN. And I don't know that CNN, the story has been broken yet, but this is what the story was that was being talked about here, right? That Christopher Wray was working under Andrew McCabe, and Andrew McCabe actually was in contact with CNN before. But we're going to get into this a little bit later. But it just noted here that CNN was in the kill box, but I don't think that has anything to do with the North Korea thing yet. And we'll get into what I was just about to talk about a little bit later in the video, because that's what we're going to be talking about next. Now, here's another article just talking about how they dismantled their whole nuclear site, supposedly, and this was as of today. But that's how they're going to play it, and it seems to be what they're going to stick with. Now, we're going to talk about this intelligence briefing, okay? And there's been a lot of controversy surrounding this intelligence briefing. But what is the importance of it? Well, the importance is that this is the flood that is coming. All of these top members of Congress are about to be read in on the truth behind the attempts and efforts by the Obama administration in conjunction with the FBI and the DOJ to spy on the Trump campaign on behalf of the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC. And the means and methods by which they did it, the classified redacted sections of all of the information that has been demanded by the president to be released to the Congressional Oversight Committee, all of that information is going to come out now. And it's not going to be speculation anymore. And these people are not going to have plausible deniability anymore. Little Adam Schiff and, crying Chuck Schumer and, all these other people are going to be briefed. Now, we have people like Nunez in attendance and Ray, and the big important one, and Trey Gowdy here, but the big important person is John Kelly. And why is that important? Well, John Kelly is apparently going to be there as a form of ensuring that the information is made very clear to these members that we know the truth about what happened. We know that the FISA court application was gotten in a very, very unethical, immoral, and probably criminal manner, and that all of the intelligence gathering that was put together by the intelligence agencies at the FBI and at SIS, such as Secret Intelligence Service, or MI6 of the United Kingdom, working in conjunction with the CIA, decided to put together this Steele dossier, which had a bunch of lies in it, in order to try to influence our election as it was being processed and manufactured in the 90-day period before the 2016 election of Donald Trump. So who is really, the problem? It's the people who are going to be attending this meeting. It's these individuals who are going to be briefed. For the most part, some of them are working for obviously the good, and some are obviously working for the evil. But they're all going to be put on the same level, where they're going to be told exactly what's going on here. Because there's just so much speculation at this point, and then they all get on their little TV shows and talk about how they don't know anything, and they haven't heard anything, and they don't know any, it's going to hopefully change, and hopefully some people are going to get set straight, but we'll see. Now, Trump's been out tweeting lately some interesting things, talking about Spygate. And there's a real thing that happened here. I mean, this is President Trump's latest tweet. He says, Clapper has now admitted that there was spying in my campaign. Large dollars were paid to the spy, far beyond normal, starting to look like one of the biggest political scandals in U.S. history. Spygate, a terrible thing. Yeah, I 100% agree. And now here's a very interesting one. He also tweets out, not surprisingly, the great men and women of the FBI are starting to speak out against Comey, McCabe, and all of the political corruption and poor leadership found within the top ranks of the FBI. Comey was a terrible and corrupt leader who inflicted great pain on the FBI. And I agree with that 100%. It's hashtag Spygate. So definitely try to make this trend on Twitter. I've already retweeted the hashtag, and you guys can come here if you guys want to support the channel at Justin_formed, and you can find me. I'm Justin Formed Talk here on Twitter, and you guys can come check out these tweets and share them and retweet them, and put your own hashtags in, whatever you think is appropriate. But I just thought this was fantastic because this is Trump laying it out, and this is what's going to be laid out, I believe, in this briefing today. These members of Congress are going to be told, we know what happened, and we're learning very quickly who all was involved. And as that information continues to be broadcast farther and wider, you're just going to see more and more of those people go into deny mode and just going to go into a whole new level there. But here's a great article, not the article itself, but a great headline, I guess you would say, describing what Giuliani said, where it's talking about the FBI informant briefing could speed Trump Mueller interview. Giuliani says, and the claim is likely to tap into Democratic fears that Trump is leveraging his power to expose details of the Mueller probe. Right? Well, what does this mean? What does this headline mean? What this article is basically suggesting is that the spy, which they keep calling an FBI informant, but let's just call it what it is, a spy that was put into Trump's campaign, is going to somehow, it will actually counter any of the attempts by Mueller and his team of investigators to even try to attempt to get Donald Trump on some bogus process charges, trying to give him these basically leading questions that would give him enough rope to basically negatively affect himself, I guess would be, it's a phrase. But what it's saying, though, is that Giuliani is insinuating that based on what's going to be brought up at these intelligence briefings, that there's no way that the interview from Mueller could last more than 5 minutes once they realize what they're investigating, because they're not going to want to investigate themselves, and they're not going to want to expose a lot of what's actually going on behind the scenes. So, look, here's what we have to go off of. We have a whole set of information that continues to come out from this IG report. We have Uma's email, and imagine this. Imagine Andrew McCabe could have known, according to this report, that Andrew McCabe could have known possibly months in advance of the actual evidence being put forward that the servers were where Hillary had kept classified information were exposed and vulnerable. There were top-level officials at the FBI who literally sat on this information and chose to do nothing because they were trying to wait, apparently, until after the election. And that in and of itself is incredible. And they gave them time to continue to commit their crimes that are being alleged. So, man, and Trump sums it up really great here in this tweet. I like that they include this here. Crooked Hillary Clinton's top aide, Abedin, has been accused of disregarding basic security protocols. She put classified passwords into the hands of foreign agents. Remember, sailors' pictures on submarine, jail, deep state Justice Department must finally act, also on Comey and others. And that's what's coming out today. Again, we have Comey shooting back at the president with his ridiculousness. Let's hear what he says. Facts matter. The FBI's use of confidential human sources, the actual term, no, it's spy, Comey, is tightly regulated and essential to protecting the country. Attacks on the FBI and lying about its work will do lasting damage to our country. How will Republicans explain this to their grandchildren? Well, quite simply put, I will explain to my grandchildren that the director of the FBI had become involved in criminal activities, including spying on the duly elected president during his campaign for office, using the tools of the nation's most highly regarded law enforcement agency in congruence with the nation's leading intelligence agency and the intelligence agencies of other countries around the world, including Australia, United Kingdom, New Zealand, and Australia. So, among others. So that's what I will tell my grandchildren. And I just, I don't know how to respond to this. He says facts matter. Yes, and we're trying to expose facts. But then here's his next one is even better, right? And I even responded to his here. But here he says, dangerous time when our country is led by those who will lie about anything backed by those who will believe anything based on information from media sources that will say anything. Americans must break out of that bubble and seek truth. Okay. Well, my response to that is you must be referring to that time the director of the FBI decided to help orchestrate the placement of spies in the Trump campaign, and the media lied about it repeatedly. That burst your bubble, leaking lying Comey. Hashtag Spygate. So yeah, that was how that was the first thing that came to my mind when I read this tweet that this guy's putting out there. It just doesn't make any sense other than it's the last thralls of somebody who's obviously going to be under criminal indictment at some point in the future for things that have gone on behind the scenes that have just now recently come to light. So, you guys definitely let me know what you think in the comments about all of this and the rest. But as far as the Q posts go, there's so much more here that we can continue to cover, like the military operation. Now, let's talk about this for just 1 second. And this kind of goes back to here where it's talking about how General Kelly was put into this intelligence briefing, right? And Q says here, General K, full disclosure. And so now this is going to be the marker that delineates sets when Rod Rosenstein must recuse or forcefully be terminated, because they're going to expose what happened, and Rod Rosenstein's implicit guilt, or explicit guilt, I should say, which will be exposed, will force him to make a recusal. So this is what the house cleaning looks like. They've gone to this intelligence briefing. Now watch the news and see what happens. I'm sure there's going to be more Q posts coming up tonight. I'm almost betting on it. If I was a betting man, I'd put my money on that. We're going to be hearing from Q tonight. And this is just something that we have to continually stay vigilant and monitor and understand how this is all going to evolve. I wanted to go over some quick points today about North Korea and about this Spygate thing, and I think we've covered all of that. So that's going to be basically it for this video. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you're looking for a way to support the channel, the best way to do it is to come here. If you have not hit that subscribe button, click that big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as these videos get posted, you'll be notified. The second best way you can help the channel is to scroll down at the end of this video, leave your thoughts, theories, insights in the comments, because like I said, we try to have our own QAnon research board at the end of each one of these episodes. So if you guys have any thoughts about what we covered here today, or you want to talk about the latest Q posters or something you want to contribute, go down there and do it. Even if you can't contribute, scroll down and read through the comments. I guarantee you're going to learn something you didn't know. And also, please go back and watch these videos and catch up if you want to get caught up to where we're at right now, because you're going to learn a lot of information about what all is going on. So I encourage you to just keep going back and watching as many of these videos as you can, for those of you who are new to this channel, because you're going to just get the information that's coming raw from Q. So, and a lot of it is information that, is not dated. I mean, this is just information that you need to know. So go look through those videos. That definitely is a good thing to do. Now, if you're looking to support the channel financially, I really appreciate it. Please come over here to Patreon. That's patreon.com. You can search Just Informed Talk. You'll come here to this landing page, click this button to become a patron. That's how you can help financially, and I really appreciate it in advance for all of you who are interested in coming on board. And it's not just a one-way street. There's definitely some ways you can get rewards if you contribute, and all of that helps keep this channel alive and running. So definitely come check this out. Thank you so much in advance to everybody who's going to come here and check out that page. Now, before we go, we're going to talk about the most important thing. And what is that? Well, it is always God, and God is the number one most important thing that we all have to look to every day in order to understand and make the world see the good in God and the good of God, and in that sense, then we can see a lot more for ourselves. And so today I want to read a very, very strong and powerful quote from the book of 1 Corinthians, and it's chapter 3, verses 18. It's talking about the follies of human wisdom. So what we have to do is temper ourselves. And what I mean by that is everything we do has to be where we seek God's wisdom, we seek God's glory, we seek God's guidance, and we seek these things from the Lord on a daily basis, because we inherently understand that our own wisdom and our own intuition is not perfect, and that it is flawed, and that the only perfect and truly correct vision of what could be and wisdom, what it should be, is God's. And although it's, never going to be possible, I think, for us to truly attain the full scope of God's wisdom until maybe we pass and we join him in heaven. But while we're here on earth, we have to seek that, and we have to always remind ourselves that we do not know everything. Because as I go through this information with you guys here, just in the Q posts, that I understand, I take that second to always humble myself and to remind myself every day that only through God will I ever gain the glory of everlasting life, and that is what matters, and that reporting on this information and bringing all this stuff to you guys is super important, because we have to shine a light on the darkness, and we have to bring the truth against this false narrative, and we have to bring good where there was evil, and we have to shed God's light where these truly troublesome and terrible things have happened. But what we should not fall victim to is the folly of our own human wisdom. And this is what 1 Corinthians says. It says, "No one should deceive himself. If anyone among you thinks he is wise in this age, he must become foolish so that he can become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God, since it is written, He catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, the Lord knows the reasonings of the wise, that they are futile. So no one should boast in men, for all things are yours, whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas or the world or life or death or things present or things present or things to come, all are yours, and you belong to Christ, and Christ to God." Remember that. Just remember that. Remember that we should never deceive ourselves. We should never think that we know more than we actually do, because the minute that we think that we're right about everything is the minute God will come in and humble you once again by showing you that you don't know everything. And that is the folly of our own human wisdom that we have to stay guarded against, and understand in ourselves that the only true wisdom that's available in this world is God's wisdom. And it's only one that's truly worth fighting for or trying to attain. And you attain God's wisdom by abiding in God, abiding in the teachings of the Lord, being a good Christian, sharing the values of what you've learned through the Bible, what you've learned through God, and what you've learned through Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit. You must share those things, and you must live them on a daily basis, because The Lord knows the reasonings of the wise, that they are futile, and he catches the wise in their craftiness. So you can never be smarter or wiser than God. And the minute that you start believing that, unfortunately, is the same minute that you can possibly lose your connection to God. And nobody ever, and I don't want that for you, and I don't think that you want that for yourself. So just remember that we humans, we tend to stumble and fall and fail, but as long as we believe in God, he'll always be there to pick us up and to push us in the better direction or the right direction. But we have to keep that faith strong and follow God to the ends of the earth, because that is the true faith in devotion to God, is being childlike in your love of God. And the more we can all be that way, I think the better this world will continue to get as we expose all of the things that are going on. So I hope this video made sense to you guys. If you don't take anything else away from it, at least take that God loves you, and that you're always a prayer away from reopening that relationship if you haven't been feeling it lately, because God will bless you and he'll make your life incredibly wonderful as long as you open your heart to him. That's all he asks. So definitely, if you don't take anything else away, just remember that the Spirit of the Lord can be wakened in your heart at any moment. As long as you call out to God, he will be there for you. But that's going to be it. If you guys have not hit that subscribe button, please come here, hit the subscribe button. That helps the channel out a lot. That's going to be it for me, though. I want to say thank you for watching. I hope that what we went over here made sense, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment board, so please leave them down there. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be having more Q posts later tonight, so stay tuned. I will be up all night monitoring the boards, getting you that information as soon as it's made available. But that's going to be it for me. This has been Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.